Off and running, a new week here at Gulfstream Park. It is great to have you with us, everybody. The sun is out in Hallandale Beach, and we hope you're tied on. 9 races on tap, 3 consecutive dark days in the books. Keisha Courtney, Jason Blewett alongside. We hope you're tan, rested, and ready off the layoff here as we get back in the swing of things. We are fast and firm, and boy, oh boy, Rainbow Six. You can just keep saying Rainbow Six because it is a monster pool.
That's the big story today, and pretty much every day we've just seen it growing and growing, and just shy of $900,000 today. So as Jason said, hopefully you've got your handicapping hats on and ready to go. We'll take a stab. In fact, we did take a stab at the sequence. You can find our take just on the Rainbow Six on YouTube as well, but we'll have tickets throughout the day and hopefully give you some good information so you can hit that.
Yeah. In a Rainbow Six, by the way, that might almost be a Rainbow Five or an extended pick 5 for a lot of dough due to the presence of Uncle Mo's little brother in editorial, who will start as a major favorite and major single for many in today's 4th race. We'll get to Acacia's ticket in a few moments, so sit tight for that. It's good to be back here on this Thursday afternoon, kicking off a 4-day racing week, and we do so on the precipice of another Friday Beat the Expert, and guess what? You're up next.
I am up, and no pressure because Jason won Beat the Expert last week, and nobody beat him. So I have some hard work to do this week, but my picks are in. We have Twilight racing tomorrow. Don't forget, so first post is 2:15, so a little bit of extra time to get that handicapping in. So go to our Facebook page and see if you can pick more winners than me.
And that picture of you looking tough and flashing the guns, it just never gets old. Good stuff there. So Friday, little Twilight Friday action. Beat the Expert with Acacia. You can play for free. And then on Saturday, man, middle of June, you want to talk about a mandatory payout in the gigantic Rainbow Six carryover. We've got to pay it out this coming Saturday, just a couple days away on June 17th. It will be an 11-race program, a regular start time of around 1:15 p.m., couple of stakes on the card, and assuming, again, no one since April 9th has hit the thing as far as single winners goes, so I think it's safe to say there's a good chance that pool, $4 million, $5 million?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm out of line saying that.
Who knows? I mean, we've seen it, the pool reach past $1 million the last couple of racing days. And as we said, that big carryover of nearly $900,000 into today. So if it keeps going till Saturday, sky's the limit, and you don't want to miss out on that.
Indeed it is. Now let's give you a quick little rundown and synopsis of what's on tap as far as the dollar rolling Super High 5 that begins in the opener. First of 5 turf races as well, and turf is where it's at for more than half of this Thursday card, June the 15th, smack dab in the middle of the month here at Gulfstream Park. The 50-cent early pick 5 gets underway in the first. I will have a ticket. We advertised Acacia's Rainbow Six. We hope she hits it today for a 6 out of 6 payout. And there you go, just under $900,000 in the pool. And then, of course, race number 5, late in the card, or fairly late in the card, Acacia. We begin the second pick 5.
And lots of opportunities, as we said today. You can find that single in the sequence, I think. So that should give you a little bit of opportunity to spread in a couple of the other legs, because it's a pretty fun sequence there. I really like it this afternoon.
And we do hate starting off the week on sort of a somber note. We were bummed, and we still are, and we send our condolences to the Aspuro family with the passing of the great Venezuelan legend in Manny Aspuro, who passed away at the age of 88 yesterday. A family affair. A number of his nephews trained, and man, guy was just a legend here in South Florida for so long.
Certainly was, and not somebody that I knew personally, but heard a lot about his wit and wisdom, if you will, and of course knowing some members of the Aspuro family. So our thoughts and our condolences with them, and great to be able to celebrate Manny's legacy.
All right, well said there. Now let's turn our attention. A little tough to turn the page, but got to get the show on the road here, and the opening pick 5 begins at around 1:15 p.m. with the first. Here's a little pick 5 play to get you started. No surprise editorial in race number 4. He's the half to Uncle Mo for Todd Pletcher and Tyler Gaffalione. He's the single in a $27 spread that sees me using 3 in the first, 3 in the second, 2 in that third leg, and then we'll wrap it up with a 3-bagger, hopefully in race number 5. And concerning this first race today, I will use every bit of the 3 Daddy Duke, the 4 who I like in policy portfolio for Aubrey Mirage, and the 7 Grand Junior, who's probably, and maybe it's somewhat of a narrow statement per se or idea, but I think he is the horse to beat Grand Junior.
And Grand Junior certainly is on paper. He's been knocking on the door in a lot of starts. And let's backtrack to his most recent race because he will take a lot of money off of this performance. He was beaten just by 3/4 of a length. This was on May 20th. He was the number 5 that day, and we'll let it roll from there. He got into gear heading into the final turn and frees it right there. As I wanted to highlight the number 5, he's like in this cluster right there. He does have to check a little bit in there, and then as we let it roll, he is going to shift to the outside, and he was game. He was really game on the outside. Lost for words, the 3 who was the winner in here was extra game, but Grant Jr. just would not go by, and that's my thing with him. He's 1 for 25, though he does frequently pick up checks.
I thought it was a great ride last time, personally, from jockey Carlos Montalvo, who's aboard, and if he couldn't win with that sort of inside trip to 3-wide angle, is he going to get it done here with that record of 1 for 25 at a short price? I say no, or not likely. Acacia says not likely. You've got him capping your try. I've got him capping the exacta. And we hope we get lucky here with the number 4 Policy Portfolio, who, when it comes down to it, I like who he's been facing. And to be honest, I just like the layoff with this horse. Give him a little bit of a breather.
A little bit of a freshening. And it was a big race from him last time with 2 next out winners, including the winner Blackjack Baby. He got a 76 Beyer speed figure next time out. We'll show his last race as well because he did have a sneaky trouble start. He's the number 3 that day, and we'll let it go from the break, showing the head-on, plus a couple of strides after, because look for him in the blue cap, and right there, as you freeze, you see he just totally was knocked off stride and had to right himself, being bumped into a couple of his foes, and we'll let it go from there. He settled in towards the back of the pack after all of that pinball machine action in the back there, and then he had to weave through traffic. And again, the number 3, I thought he finished up very well. I'll just freeze and highlight him right there again in the blue cap, and again we'll let it roll there. Thought he finished up nicely.
Yeah, an okay finish in this race. Some good things happened to him where he was able to kind of put in that inside ground-saving run and showed some interest there in deep stretch. But again, that race was back on April 29th. He's got some time between that start and today. And the Blue It's Bullets, boy, oh boy, the weight is on Policy Portfolio. We've got a video. We've got the bullets. I like who he's been facing. In fact, I call the company lines that he has been tangling with, maybe for the most part, a little tougher than the crew that he catches today in the first. He's had nearly 50 days between starts, and again, I'm glad we showed that good call by you showing the head-on of the start. He's a way more handy horse than his last shows. He can get himself up in the game. That's who we're looking for to start the day. 4-1 currently on the 4 Policy Portfolio. Let's head to the main track. The first of 4 dirt races on the Thursday card goes as a 3-and-up filly mare, $30,000 to $25,000 claimer, in which you've got a field of 6 and a cold 4-3 double for Acacia and I to start the week here at Gulfstream Park. Sweet Khaleesi, to me, looks very well intentioned for the 30K, and I like the trainer change to Stanley Gold.
I do as well. She's coming off a layoff. It's been about 5 months since her last race. It was mid-January, and that's when she tried the turf and certainly did not like that. So she's back on the dirt, which absolutely looks to be her preferred surface. A nice work tab coming in, and I think she has a versatile running style. She does have some speed, but she'll probably see some speed to her 2 inside runners as well. So I think that she can sit just off of that and here and get a good trip.
Looks like there will be some pace. In addition to Murray's Girl on the rail, you do have Battle Tux and Tyler Gaffleone, and don't forget the 4 Pure Bliss likes to mix it up as well. I'm looking at a price to hopefully finish second, or at least make an impact in today's second race, and that is the Tampa Oldsmar Invader, the number 5 Senzafina, who last ran about 40 days ago. She returns for a trainer I'm not very familiar with in Monty Thomas, but he's done pretty good work. We'll show you a brief little stat here on Gulfstream today, a trainer who I'm going to take this 16% strike rate as a major positive, and the fact that he's got a positive ROI straight up right down the middle, first off a trainer change. It is a 3-5 for me for race 2. who do you think is the main danger, Acacia to Sweet Khaleesi?
Well, I looked away from Sensafina, and just a quick pop to Monty Thomas. I'm a big fan of this trainer. He has one of my favorite horses actually in Morning Brew, but I did think that this filly had to step up in terms of her buyer speed figures and the horses, that she'll be facing. I thought that Battle Tux, who, if you look at her last race on a fast main track, it was against significantly tougher. She had a sloppy track and a turf race in her last 2 starts. Actually ran okay on the slop last time, but her last fast main track race in February was against 62,000 optional claiming types in the likes of Summer Reading and Saving Time that she was facing. So I think that she does get a class drop on the fast track.
A big one, man. You think about the ebb and flow of these horses, where she was going favored 5-2 or less during the championship meet in those open allowance races, even in the 2 other thens. I mean, a really high obvious condition, and now she's in for 30K, looking for a bit of an identity, and we'll see if she can turn things around here in race number 2. We'll get on to the 3rd. We'll keep it short down the backstretch with the 6.5 furlong sprint. These are 62.50 claiming 3 and up fillies and mares. We lost the 3 Street Princess. Scratched out of this one. We go with a field of 5, and for me, the firepower is towards the outside. The 5 Feeling Awesome, who I thought had a big chance, and clearly you agree, for trainer Carlo Beccareza. And I like the 6 Gucci Girl, who I think I even elevate a little more after scratches, because her toughest pace foe, Street Princess, is no longer in the race. They have got her on point, her to run down, and I don't think they're going to do it.
I think that's going to be the key, is that she could dictate the pace, and if she gets loose on the lead, then that's really going to be it. But talking about the 5 Feeling Awesome, I actually thought it was kind of a weird pace setup in her last race, which is why I'm going to give her another try in here. She had the obvious trouble last time in that she was pushed out very badly by Silver Sassy, rounding the far turn, and had to be very, very wide. Of course, that horse was disqualified and bumped back down. But again, it was a kind of a very sharp with a couple of horses really keen early on. So again, a weird pace setup in here. I think she can be a bit closer and does have a little bit of natural speed. And if you can trust anybody to have a gauge of the way the pace is going to play out, she does have the top jockey up.
Indeed, she gets Tyler Gaffalione, a rider change. And again, it's not a knock to anybody that's been aboard Feeling Awesome recently, but there's something to be said for a rider who was just in the zone, so well prepped, and a very nice interview with you and Tyler debuted on Gulfstream Weekly, which is up currently on GulfstreamPark.com and our YouTube page, which is worth a follow. Tyler, very well spoken, and I kind of learned a lot about where his headspace was and is as far as foregoing maybe a trip to New York for another summer.
Yeah, staying here at Gulfstream Park, which did turn out to be the right decision, leading in wins here and throughout the country as well.
All right, with the first 3 down, it's all about the Rainbow Six, 900K in the carryover. Acacia's Ticket and more when we come back.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
Always good to take a breather, and now we're back here on this Thursday edition of Gulfstream Today, coming to you live from our paddock studios at Gulfstream Park. Jason and Acacia with that opening pick 3 down, and that means it's time, for the Rainbow Six, April 9th. Some 40 cards, give or take, in the rearview mirror. Our last day of a single jackpot winner. And what's the ticket looking like today?
All right, well, I do have that single, as you said, kind of your freebie here, I think, to start things off with the number 10 editorial, Little Brother to Uncle Mo, second-time starter on the turf, for trainer Todd Pletcher, beaten just ahead last time. I think that's the anchor, if you will, so we'll know right away if we're alive heading into the second leg.
Rip the Band-Aid off,
that's
right?
It. Then I'm going to spread in the 5th race. I thought that's one you could find some value on my long shot, the 3 Vegas in there. Then 3 by 3 using just 2 in the finale, but that's kind of a anything can happen race, so hopefully I make it there.
Yeah, very tricky race in which Kabuki is probably, in a way, one of the most important horses, in my opinion, on this card, in addition to Editorial in the nightcap. Which Kabuki do we get? We'll find out later on down the road, and we'll certainly talk about that field Kabuki is facing in a few moments. But let's get in, and not every day you get a half to Uncle Mo, and certainly with all due respect and peace and love to Editorial, this colt by Warfront is no Uncle Mo. But he did, and we'll go to the tape with our spotlight on April 29th. He did run very well in defeat, losing a tough one to Flag Officer. White cap in the Derek Smith colors, and here he comes.
Yes, and you can see Javier Castellano, who was in town for the weekend, riding hard on him as they come around. And I think Flag Officer just had the experience edge on him that day. And you can see a little bit of drifting in the stretch, and I'm just going to let it play out in there because the number 5 is Editorial. He drifted a bit, came back. Of course, Javier Castellano, as I said, riding him hard. Robusto was the number 8 in between horses. A nice finish from him as well. But I thought Editorial looks like he's coming in strong today. He's out of a multiple stakes place mare who won twice on the grass by Warfront, as you said, and kin to a horse named Superfast, also a 2-time turf winner.
25 wins during this spring summer meet here at Gulfstream Park for trainer Todd Pletcher. There's just no letdown in that operation. It comes at you in endless waves, no matter whether you're talking Belmont or Saratoga or down in the friendly confines of Hallandale Beach here at GP. So Editorial at a very short price. The race for second in minor awards, assuming Editorial shows up and has a respectable trip. He's probably just too good for these. But King Moro, I thought, was worth a look, as he has faced some pretty solid maidens in the past. You like, and I know we had talked about this horse yesterday, you have a very, very keen interest in Monetary System, who's back for Ralph Nix.
I do. Technically taking a step up in class after being exposed against Maiden Claiming Company on the turf last time, but first time in the barn of Ralph Nix and off a layoff. But first time trainer switch on the turf with maidens. Ralph Nix bats about 30% winning and 50% in the money with an ROI of more than $4. So I thought that this one might be a little bit of a sneaky, maybe using the exactor if you want to spread a bit in that Rainbow Six ticket.
All right, colt by Ghost Zapper, very familiar with his progeny. And of course, I love that commercial we have each and every day here at Gulfstream Park for Adena Springs. Race number 5 on the card. We turf it again as we cash out the early pick 5 and begin the late 5. Little crossroads action here midway through the card with the $16,000 3 and up 2-turn mile turf race. A good-sized field, and that will lead me to a good-sized spread of 3 horses in the first couple of legs of Thursday's late pick 5. My opinion in this sequence, and it's a tricky race, but I'm going to stand alone just for cost purposes and single a horse that I like in the 1 Adios Nardo. If he wins and we get the other legs right, hopefully we can turn a horse that's maybe in the 4 to 5 to 1 range, give or take, into a a few $100 score. So that's my feeling in singling Adios Nardo. 3 in the 8th, and then 2, including Kabuki, in race number 9. But in talking about the 5th race, you've got a number of horses who are taking drops in class, including the 9 Hoosier Drama on the outside, the number 10 Jada the Croft. And I do think, and you clearly agree, seeing your top selection, Acacia, that Hoosier Drama is probably the one they've got to get around with all things being equal.
Certainly does, and we'll backtrack to his race 2 starts back, and this was technically against tougher company for the 30,000 non-winners of 2. He did get the win that day. The number 3 will let it roll from there. He's the gray, so pretty easy to spot, but he was forwardly placed. He set a perfect stalking trip while Shiny Badge, who's the number 6 out front, set the pace, and I just thought he was winning against tougher competition in here, and what he'll face today, he should be primed and ready to go.
And in mentioning the tougher competition, you're dealing with a horse who, off the trainer change a while back to Fernando Abreu, was running well, and I like this stat we're about to show you, because to me it just shows that these horses are well meant. A trainer who drops them looking to win and then possibly looking to get the horse claimed away from the claim box. But I like Fernando Abreu, the work that he's done, having gone 4 for 14, allowance to claiming in which Hoosier Drama makes that move today. Great gelding by Big Drama, who will bring up the BBs as well, the Blewitts Bullets, owned by my good buddy in part, Eddie Olczyk, a former Stanley Cup winning hockey player for the New York Rangers. I like that this horse has won a couple of times here on the GP turf. turf. And again, it goes back to Fernando Abreu, a former assistant to the late great Alan Jerkins, doing such good work with his allowance to claiming drop downs. Again, though, you need a good effort out of Hoosier Drama. He is far from a layup in this race because you've got the likes of the 10-horse Jade of the Croft, and even I think the number 6 Turncoat, who anything going first time out, claim or trainer change for Midwest, and Armando de la Cerda, I'm taking a long look at. Guy is just such a good trainer.
He really is, and he spots his horses very well. And Turncoat, beaten as the favorite last time and technically taking a little step up in class off the claim, but I think that he has some back numbers that he can run to. I use the 3 Vegas in my exact. It's my long shot play of the day. I think he can be the dictating speed with a good inside post.
All right, I like a bomb there on the front end. Over a turf course, by the way, that's been very fair and even, it seems, over the last few weeks at Gulfstream Park. We'll see what Thursday's program holds in store. 7 furlongs for race number 6 as we move one race later into the program with a 3-and-up filly mare, $30,000 to $25,000 claimer. I had liked the 7 Vicky Queen quite a bit, and had she not been scratched, and in the process she leaves us with a field of 6, I may have fooled around with singling her in the late pick 5 as opposed to Adios Nardo. But again, she's scratched. That means I am in the direction of the 6 Grazie Spirit, who I think is just a logical kind of player. I'll take the good with the bad off her last start. You know, most of these sloppy tracks we see tend to have just that traditional outside flow. She hugged the rail, was saved a lot of ground in doing so, but I like the way she finished behind Truge, who, speaking of a race flowing to the outside, was way out in the middle of the track and closed from 8th. Go figure, an English Channel El Prado filly that likes the dirt. I'm taking her on top.
All right, well, I think that that's a good move because her last 2 races were pretty good. I used her a little bit further down, but I just went with the class dropper to the 1. Easy's Mistress, been running against much tougher competition. Her race 2 starts back at the $35,000 tag. She finished behind South, who came back to win again, getting a 70 by her speed figure next time out. And I think Easy's Mistress, she ran into multiple stakes, winning Who's the Lady a couple times. She's just been facing tougher. Maybe now she gets a good spot and can stalk from that rail post.
And after doing that Pick 6 show with you yesterday, which, by the way, is on our GulfstreamPark.com website and our YouTube page, I included Easy's Mistress in my late Pick 5. I somehow, some way did not include her in race number 6. But again, Vicky Queen will get the money with her next time she shows up. On to the 7th. This is a good one on the card today. Very good, solid, multi-layered betting race as we head back on the grass with the Myona 16th, Florida bred, a other than $25K allowance optional claimer. The thing I love about this race is it's just a case of almost everybody in this bulky field being sharp and in form off their last out race. There's really no horse that you could say, well, this horse is just in miserable form. He has no chance. It's not the case here with this crew in the 7th.
You could make a case for almost any horse in this field, and I think that's what makes it a really fun race. And I know that you like Adios Nardo quite a bit, and he comes out of the same race with a horse we know quite well around here in Charlie Mops, and we'll go back to that race between the 2 of them. And we have seen a couple of horses come back to win in here. Now, Charlie Mops is the 5 up front. The pace bias this day was in his favor, so we'll let it roll from there. And Adios Nardo was kind of in that stalking trip. Yes, he was up against it, and we did see some horses trying to close, like Hammer's Terror, who did come back to win next time out. The biggest problem I have about Adios Nardo is that he's 0 for 5 on the Gulfstream Park turf course, and he's 0 for 3 at the distance. So he has things that he has to prove in here, and you can see him, the number 6. Charlie Mops is the 5 up front. He kind of gets swallowed up by Hammer's Terror. I think Hammer's Terror is maybe just a bit of a stronger horse, but I absolutely respect Adios Nardo in here.
And now, as far as pace goes, Charlie Mops may have things a little difficult, in fact, very difficult on the engine, and that is how he wants to run due to the presence of the 6 Just Fooling Around, who also ran on May 10th and was very much in with the flow and with the grain of that turf course that was favoring early speed. And that's why I like the 1 Adios Nardo, who, the good news, even though he's never won here at GP, he's also second start off that layoff. He's had a little more time to get the lay of the land down here, even though he's got prior experience at Gulfstream. I like him, and you're taking Just Fooling Around. So
I am.
talk to me here about the pace. Does that concern you?
Well, I don't think he's a need the lead type, and I think that he was in a good spot last time given the way the track was playing. He was in the 7th race that day, and he showed a lot more early speed. I think he's actually a better stalking horse. He can let Charlie Mops just go out to the front because that's what he's going to do. Even if you try to rate him, you can't with Charlie Mops. So Just Fooling Around, I think, has that versatility. And we've talked about how well the barn is going with Fernando Abreu, and I think that this one, he was a good second last time. Smart ride by Jorge Ruiz at a big price.
All right, I love it. You think the pace is going to hold together? I'm looking for a meltdown in race number 7. That's why it's horse racing. That's why it is the greatest game played outdoors. On to race number 8. We are down to the final 2. It's 1-1. You get your 8th on the main, your 9th on the turf, and the late double begins with the 12-5 3-and-up Philly-Mare Claimer, in which we have a group of horses gunning for that top prize of a $17,000 purse. And we had Charlie Mops, and we have Charlie Secret.
Yes, it could be a little Charlie double in here, but I think Charlie Secret on paper, 100% the horse to beat. A little bit of interest to see how that race plays out. We have Gracie Spirit running earlier on in the card. She was second in that race that Charlie Secret does come out of. Certainly didn't take to the slop, but now she gets an immediate drop in class again, down to the 12-5 level.
Just a case of, I think, the Cassie barn being realistic down here during Gulfstream Park, our spring-summer meet, and putting a filly who is who she is, and she just fits snugly, you would think, for 12-5. Why waste your time running in higher claiming conditions and levels when she's not going to be competitive? They've got her to beat, and perhaps she's laying right up, ready to pounce on the 5 Overdriven Cat and the 7 Walking Primrose. It's a cold 2-1-7 and a nice super box for Acacia, myself, in race number 8. And now we come up to the 9th race. These are 3-and-up Philly-Mare 12-5 maiden claimers. We end the day at 7.5 furlongs, and that includes that gargantuan Rainbow 6 carryover that gets underway in the 4th. What do you do with Kabuki, who again is a maiden claimer running near the bottom, but that being said, you just don't know whether you're getting the good or the very mediocre Kabuki, and that is a real dilemma.
Yes, it is, and I've had a tough time with her because I thought her race a few starts back on April 12th against this level of competition where she was beaten ahead beyond Royal Chapeau, closing very wide. I thought it was a huge performance from her. They stepped her up in class. She ran okay, so I was thrilled when she dropped back down last time, but she didn't show up. So that's the biggest question in here. If you remember, I used both her and a first-time starter on my Rainbow 6 ticket. I also included the 8 Glorious Venezuela. Really sharp work tab at Gulfstream Park West for this one, even though first-time starters on the turf, not the strongest for Gilberto Zerpa.
Filly by Big Brown, bred in Florida. We'll see. Won't take a big, monstrous effort, so to speak, to get a firster home against Kabuki and the crew in race number 9. I certainly respect Kabuki, but you are dealing with probably an underlaid favorite given her overall form and the fact that she's switching to Tyler Gaffalione, and a favorite in which is coming off just a lackluster effort any way you slice it. She's still a must-use. I'll try to upset the field and maybe do so getting in front of Kabuki and some of the liver horses early on. A better break today for the 11. Miz and My Honeymoon will, I think, put the Miz and Mass filly, who I like, right on the flank of the 4 Saint Therese, and I'm going to take her with Nick Figueroa. I like the rider change to one of the better, more polished bug riders we have here at Gulfstream Park, and it's Miz and My Honeymoon. We won't miss her in race number 9 today.
And not to mention she has a fun name, but if she does have that speed, obviously dwelt at the start last time out, so she could improve in here, but I thought that this last race was a wide open affair.
It's a very tricky race. We hope you get there live and any of the multi-race gimmicks, and we'll certainly talk about it. In fact, that's 1 to 9. We'll bring on Ron Nicoletti, our ace handicapper here at Gulfstream Park. Keisha doing her thing in the walking ring, and we hope you sit tight here at Gulfstream Park. Pete Aiello is coming up next with that opening set of Thursday's Scratches and Changes.